Boxing trainer Robert Garcia says that one of his fighters, or perhaps soon to be former fighters, Marcus Maidana, may never fight again. Now, I did several videos, at least 2 or 3 videos about this particular possibility. And one of them was the day or two after Maidana's rematch with Floyd Mayweather. And to me, this seemed obvious, that this was a very real possibility because Marcus Maidana has had a very, very tough career. This guy's come up the hard way. He had some tough fights in Argentina. Don't get it twisted. I know sometimes we scoff at fights in places like South America and whatnot, but he's had some tough fights in Argentina, Marcus Maidana. I remember watching a fight with some journeyman who dropped him hard. So he had tough fights in Argentina, arrived in the USA, had that war with Victor Ortiz. He had to fight other contenders out there. Victor Cayo. He lost to Andre Kotelnik. He obviously had that war with Amir Khan. He got beat up by Devon Alexander. He had tough fights with people like Josecito Lopez, Jesus Soto Caras. Obviously, tough fight with Adrian Broner. What am I missing? I know there's some other tough fights. He had a tough fight with Eric Morales. And then finally, it all culminated in those 2 fights with Floyd Mayweather. So it took a long, long time for Marcus Maidana to get to the top of the sport. It took a long time for him to actually be earning some good money, a lot of ups and downs. When he lost to Alexander, he said he felt like quitting boxing. So this guy has been through trials and tribulations. He's a rough and tough bruiser of a fighter. So every time this guy puts himself through training camp, not only does he get hit a lot in fights, he's getting hit a lot in training camps. A lot of wear and tear on his body. And I always got the impression with Maidana, he's a blue-collar fighter. I always got the impression with him that he don't really like the training. That's the kind of character he strikes me as. Someone who don't like training. He likes fighting. He likes, now and again having to tear up with someone. But in terms of getting up at, 5, 6 a.m. every morning, doing the runs in the hills up there in Argentina, going in the gyms and sparring and doing the sit-ups and push-ups and all the cardio. I just always had the impression he hates all that stuff. And he was just looking for a way to feed his family and try and make a better life for himself. And according to Robert Garcia, that's pretty much the case. This guy is really not in love with the sport of boxing. And as I say, I think personally, maybe I'm wrong, it's pure speculation, that he does like fighting. Maybe he's the kind of guy that likes to go out, with his friends to the club and whatnot, to the bar, and every now and again he feels like getting into a fight. He just seems like that kind of rough, tough, blue-collar character. But in terms of living like an athlete and all that, I don't think Marcus Maidana enjoys the athlete life. And ever since he's retired he hasn't retired officially, but ever since he's gone AWOL, I guess, after the rematch with Mayweather, pictures have surfaced of him weighing God knows what, close to 200 pounds. And he looks like he's loving it. He's enjoying his life and all the money. Apparently, according to Robert Garcia, he made about $12 million US dollars in his past 3 fights against Broner and the 2 against Mayweather. And that is life-changing sum of money. It's a life-changing sum of money, particularly in Argentina. I mean, $12 million US dollars in Argentina will go a long, long way. Believe you me. So he is living like a king in Argentina. He's wearing silk pajamas. He probably bought himself a nice house. His family have all been set up for life. He knows in his head now, everything's paid. He don't need to box or work again for the rest of his life. He can just sail off into the sunset with his family and they'll all be happy. So for a guy like that, as soon as, he had that rematch with Mayweather, who was the best, where else is there for him to go? If he don't need the money, unless he's going to have tax problems and then have to come back to the ring, that could be a motivation for fighting again. But unless he has some kind of money problem, this guy probably never going to fight again. And in fact, in a recent interview a couple weeks back, I read Maidana saying that he's not even thinking about boxing. There was some speculation that he may come back at junior middleweight, but again, just a few weeks ago, he said, I'm not even thinking about boxing. And you can't blame him. You cannot blame him. He's had a tough career. Nothing has been handed to him easy. And Maidana is one of those kind of fighters who I feel like he's given the sport more than he's taken from it. So if anyone deserves to live happily ever after and sail off into the sunset after the boxing career he's had, it's someone like Marcus Maidana. He's given the sport so much and, in my opinion, taken relatively little compared to what he's given. So hats off to Maidana. If we don't fight again, if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't fight again. That's just personally me, but maybe other people feel different. I'm sure there are, as boxing fans, we can be selfish sometimes and we can look at it and say, oh, but I want to see Maidana fight this guy. I want to see him fight that guy. And, that's how we are as fans. But just as a human being, Maidana don't owe boxing nothing now. So if he wants to sail off and do his thing, let him do his thing. It's really what I expected. A guy who's come up the hard way like that to finally reach the peak of the mountaintop, fighting the best in boxing, Mayweather twice, and making loads of money doing it, finally, it don't get, he can't go higher than that. He can only go down from there on. He's not like he's not the kind of character, to me, he's never struck me as the kind of character like a Miguel Cotto, okay, or like a Mayweather. He's never struck me as that kind of character. He's always, those kind of guys to me, I know Cotto comes across as humble, but those kind of guys to me seem more egotistical than someone like Maidana, who's a very down-to-earth, straight-talking guy. And for him, it's not really about his ego. I know he's a macho guy, but he just struck me as someone that's just, in boxing just to give it a go. He's obviously had some talent from when he was an amateur in Argentina. He thought, let me just go down this boxing route as a pro, try and make some money for my family. And that's what he's done. So drop your comments below, people. What do you think about Maidana? Do you think he will retire? Do you want him to retire? And if you want him to fight on, is there someone specifically that you want to see him fight? There's some possibilities out there. He could come back maybe for a rematch with Khan, because I know he was quite upset that Khan didn't rematch him for a while. Possibility of a rematch with Devon Alexander, because that was one of the hardest losses. I think he said that was the hardest loss to take in his career, because he lost to Kotelnik, but that was disputed. Lost to Khan, which I thought was clear, but that 10th round was controversial. He said the Devon Alexander loss was the one that hit him the hardest, because he just couldn't get into the fight. And afterwards, he felt like he wanted to quit boxing. So, yeah. Let me know how you feel about Marcus Maidana and the possibility that he'll never fight again. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.